up? Welcome to this video that is going to be my Diamond No Ace Act 2 review slash journaling. So part 1 of this should be up already, and it's going to be the same format. I'm basically just going to ramble on, gush about Diamond No Ace. This video will have heavy spoilers, I'm predicting, so if you don't want to be spoiled for the end of the series, I would click away now. If you've read Daiya and want to hear my thoughts, please stick around. Or if you just want to see me journaling or just hear me talk, I guess, that's fine too, but let's just hop right into it. So the first spread I'm going to do is kind of about all the main rival teams that I enjoy the most in Daiya. So we have some, Yakushi, we have some Amahisa, we have Mei, just all kinds of players here that I really like in the story and I think add a lot of depth to the story. Because how can you have, a sports manga without rival teams? So yeah, overall, I loved Act 2 of Diamond No Ace. Much to be expected. This is actually my first time reading the manga for this. I had watched the anime, which covered like halfway through Act 2. So I was pretty familiar with the story. It wasn't completely new, but getting to experience like the last quarter of the story was really special. I'm glad I started over from the beginning with like rereading Act 1 instead of just jumping right into Act 2, because it had been a long time since I had experienced the story. And getting into the nitty-gritty details before, seeing the grand conclusion was a good choice on my part. So, just a TLDR, I guess, if you're completely new to the series and are just watching for the vibes. This is a high school baseball manga about our main character who gets scouted to play at this school in Tokyo that has a really great baseball program. And because, this school is a renowned, baseball school, there's a lot of competition within the team for spots on the starting lineup. So our main character is, struggling to the top to try to become the starting pitcher on the team. So a lot of the drama within the series does come from the kind of internal struggle of people on the team. So it's kind of funny that I'm doing a spread about, the rivals, because I feel like they are not as big of an aspect in the story. They are there, they are present, but if you took them away, there would still be plenty of drama, just kind of with all the back and forth within the team. But Act 2 especially had some great games between the rivals. So like I said, there will be spoilers for what I'm talking about, but the end of Act 1 I thought was handled really well. So they made it to the Spring Koshien, they did pretty well there. Furuya really shined, Sawamura kind of had a lackluster performance, but that just gave them a little taste of the top, So the main goal is to get to the Summer Koshien, the more coveted nationals before, the third years graduate. It's their last chance at the summer. So Act 2 is kind of them just preparing for this summer games and deciding the lineup and playing in scrimmages before that, developing their skills, etc., etc. And one of the teams that I, love with all my heart and at times found myself rooting for more than Sato was Yakushi. Over here, I just love Yakushi. They're kind of like a rough and tumble team, ragtag group of guys, very much underdog story. So they're the typical, I guess, sports manga protagonist team, if you're talking about an underdog story. So having them be one of the main rival teams is really interesting in my opinion. It's very easy to just, root for the other side in this case. But I love all the members of that team. They are so silly. I love Raichi with his, prodigy batting skills. I love that his dad is the coach. That is very real to me. If you ever played, maybe, lower than high school, at least in the US, AYSO soccer, a lot of the coaches are, kids' dads and stuff like that, or guardians. So it very much gave that vibe that I'm familiar with. My dad was never a coach on any of my teams, but I don't know, the whole, family thing, and then I feel like Yakushi is one of the teams we get the most backstory on too, the whole family thing with Raichi and his mom and their family financially struggling. They kind of played off as a joke that he needs to become a star to financially support them, but there is a seriousness to it, and it's a lot of pressure for a 15-year-old boy to be this superstar. But I like him so much. He's so cute, and the fact that he's just this little shy kid. He doesn't have a phone, so he can't be part of the little line groups that they have. And he's super shy, but on the field he's a monster type of vibe. He's kind of like Furuya, but a little more of a dichotomy of his on-stage, off-stage personality. And then I also really like Sanada. He was one of my favorites. From the first time around that I read it, he's one of those characters that they talk about in the series that kind of embodies the ace. Like, even though he's not like this amazing superstar pitcher, it's more about like how he leads the team, and they trust him and they have his back and stuff like that. And I think Sanada is kind of like a model for how I think Ajin is perceived within the team too on Seido. So I don't know, I really like him. I like the other members of the team. I like that Yakushi, they're such a small team that they have to kind of multi-purpose their players sometimes. Like, Raichi pitching is hilarious, and Mishima pitching, and his whole complex of, he wants to be the cleanup, pitcher, captain, ace. Like, he's so funny. And even the dad coach says some wise things sometimes. Like, he's kind of lazy, he's kind of a clown, but he does spurt out some nuggets of wisdom sometimes. So, I don't know, I have a soft spot for sure for Yakushi. And some other teams I also have a soft spot for are Amahisa's team. I think this game between Seido and Amahisa's team, I forget their name. It's like Seiho or there's some similar sounding team names, but Amahisa's team, I think, is the best game of the manga. So it's near the end, it's the second to last game, and it's where Sawamura really shows his, ace prowess. It's his game. It's the pitcher showdown. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it so much. I was talking to someone before I read it, and they were like, girl, this is gonna be the game that blows you away. It's the best game. And I agree. Amahisa is an interesting character because he's like a really good pitcher, but he quit. Like, he ended up quitting baseball, kind of did his own thing, kind of, dated girls, messed around, wanted to have the typical high school experience, hated the structure of baseball, blah, blah, blah. And he comes back to the sport after seeing their previous pitcher, like, have a star performance. So he's kind of like, well, I'm done messing around now, time to go back to baseball. And he dedicates a lot to this, and, the team accepts him, and his little speech in their locker room before this game against Seido was so good. And he's kind of like a funny, weird character too. He takes an interest in Sawamura. He's like texting him about stuff, telling him about their strategy. I guess Amahisa helps him even more understand like the duty of the ace and stuff like that. So I don't know, they have a funny relationship dynamic, and I like him a lot. I like his personality. It's funny. He's kind of cynical. He's kind of, a playboy. He's kind of cocky, but, all these guys are kind of that in some capacity, including Mei. I think I'm going to do this pink and black color scheme for the rivals. But yeah, like I was saying, Mei. I don't know why I call him Mei when I call everyone else by their last name. Narumiya Mei. So, Mei, or Inashiro, his team, they are the champions. They are the big bad, final boss team. It's this epic rematch from last time they lost against them. It's when Sawamura got the yips because he hit one of their batters. Like, it's, a culmination of everything going on in the manga. So I think it was a worthy, last game. But I felt like, the game against Amahisa's team, that was the shining moment for Sawamura as, the ace. Whereas the game against Mei was kind of almost like a closure for him and Miyuki and their relationship, and closure for the third years. So it was a little bit of a different vibe. And I especially liked, the whole conflict resolution with him and Miyuki. And, they asked Miyuki to be on their team. Like, Mei wanted to have this ultimate team of all the great baseball players from middle school, and Miyuki rejected him and was like, nah, I'd rather play against you. Like, this is so exciting. You're building up your, dream team over there. I can't wait to, potentially beat your dream team. And that's what ends up happening. So, yes, very happy, Seido won. They got to the Koshin. The drama between Mei and Miyuki was scrumptious. And something else I wanted to discuss, this has been scratching at my mind this whole time since I was reading, this last game. So Mei, notices that Sawamura is the ace and not Furuya. Furuya, starts the game. He's doing super well. And Mei is like, why did they strip the ace number from that guy? He's the one that kind of, foresaw it in the past when he was seeing Furuya struggle and was like, that is me in the past. I know how he's feeling. The pressure of the ace is getting to him, and will he overcome it? Or will he crack under the pressure? And Mei is kind of just I don't know if he's disappointed in Furuya for essentially giving up his ace spot and not even, trying to persevere through the drama or whatever. And Mei speculates that, the management, the coach, took the ace number from Furia to relieve the pressure off him. And, he suspects kind of that, like, is the whole point of making Sawamura the ace to spur on Furia's development even more? Like, how much of that weighed into the decision? And I thought that was super interesting, because Mei is like, no, like, they're never gonna take my spot away. Even if I'm sucking, I am gonna, push through, I'm gonna make it work. While I think he's kind of looking down on Furia, being like, well, you couldn't step up, bro. They're kind of coddling you by taking it away from you. Like, maybe this will spur you on to be better, but, like, did they just take it away so you could feel better and not so much pressure? I don't know. I thought that whole insight was so interesting and messed up, potentially, if that, is the case, that the whole reason why Sawamura became the ace was, again, to cultivate Furia further, which was a theme, especially in Act 1, which was, very infuriating. Like, I definitely do think it's part of the reasoning, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm just gonna believe, that Sawamura deserved it. He worked so hard at, his craft to become the ace. He's the mood maker of the team. Everyone loves him. Everyone backs him up. It just all made sense. And him and Furia end up having the most amazing kind of rival relationship as well that I don't think would have happened unless Sawamura, became the ace. So, am I making sense? I don't know. But Sawamura is my boy. I love Furia too, but he needed this. He needed this chance to shine, especially, in the game against Amahisa. That was a brilliant moment. I'm glad Miyuki kind of got to get his revenge against Mei and his other, like, middle school friends. Also, the whole, like, Japanese all-star game was really cool, so, like, Miyuki actually got to see Mei's pitching up close and center, and maybe potentially use that against him a little bit. Miyuki was the star of the final game. And I'm not mad at that because Miyuki is my favorite character, but I feel like maybe those two games could have been flip-flopped. Like, it didn't feel anticlimactic at the end because, the game was focused on the whole Miyuki conflict, but I feel like it would have been nicer if, like, the dynamics were switched. Like, Sawamura finally got his, victory lap, essentially, at the very end. But yeah, overall, I really loved Act 2. I would kill for an Act 3, honestly. Like, there is so much more story to develop, in my opinion. But I heard that Sensei kind of burnt out after Act 2. It didn't feel like a rushed ending. I just feel like there's a lot more to explore, potentially. Like, if they're gonna stick with the whole, like, every act is a year thing, they could totally do it. Like, Yamushi Pedal's doing it right now. It's not split up into very explicit parts like that, but they are going through the main characters, like, all 3 years of high school, so. Okay, I think I'm done with this one. I think it looks pretty good. I usually don't work with such a dark color palette, and I'll do the writing at the end and come back and show the final product, but that is my, like, rival spread. Got to hear my opinions on some of the rival teams. I love them all, especially Yakushi. Mei is a little brat, but, like, he has the skills to back it up, so that's why I don't mind him as much as a character. Like, sometimes those cocky, bratty characters are really annoying, but you cannot deny he is, like, the best pitcher of his age group in Japan, basically, so he has the props to back up, his cockiness, so whatever. But yeah, now let's move on to some other spreads, because there's more to come. Okay, next I'm gonna do a spread for Okamura, or I guess the first years in general, that appear in Act 2. I just happen to have a lot of pictures of Okamura screenshotted. I'm sorry to the other characters like Yui and Yuki. I got a little Asada in there, and I think a little Seto, but yeah, so in the beginning of Act 2, there is a new crop of characters. It's in their second year, so of course they're getting new members. This is Sato, so they're getting a lot of great members from the crop, and I love kind of seeing the changing dynamics in the team. It's very fresh to me, especially since Sato is like a boarding school. You get to see the new like roommate situation and the changing dynamics. Like seeing Sawamura become like a senpai is really funny. Seeing who is going to get moved up to the first string after the third year to have graduated. And of course, one of the shining, I guess, like first year members is Okamura. So he is a catcher. And there's also another like first year catcher that is really good, Yui. So at first I was like, wait, is this going to be like a pitcher battle? Like, you know, Furia and Sawamura's type rivalry between them? Because Yui is kind of like Furia, where he has like this really good reputation. He was the captain of the like junior worlds team or something like that. So he has a lot of high expectations set for him. While Okamura kind of comes from, you know, not like a super well-known background, but I really like his character. The more I think about it, the more I really like him. Even though he makes a bad first impression. So at first, he like is really bad with Sawamura. He literally tells Samura to stop breathing at one point, like, because he thought he was defending his friend, and he doesn't like the way Samura, like, encourages people, and it was a whole thing. And I was like, oh no, like, this is not good. And the fact that Miyuki, of all people, has to, like, set you straight, that was kind of a funny introduction to him as a character. But throughout the series, you see him kind of warm up to Samura, and the whole, like, I won't catch for you until I'm on the starting lineup is a good dynamic, and, you know, Samura calling him Wolf Boy, and growing to appreciate his kind of more feisty personality, and Okamura starting to try to understand Samura better. I really like their relationship, and if anything, in Act 3, I want to see their battery develop. Like, I like Yui, but something about Okamura is just such a better dynamic, in my opinion. And it's funny to see him be, like, so good with the pitchers, especially when they have, like, the first year game with Asada. He's just so intuitive to the pitchers, and he has kind of a different approach than Miyuki with consoling pitchers, and I don't know, like, his personality on and off the field is very different, and he really just got off on the wrong foot with Sawamura, and I want to see him, like, redeem himself even more, because, you know, as a first year, he doesn't get to play much, he doesn't end up on, like, you know, the starting lineup. No one's gonna replace Miyuki anytime soon until he graduates, but I just wish we got to see more of him, and I really like his, you know, friendship with Seto and their whole, like, little pair up, and I also thought his kind of backstory was really interesting with the whole, he, you know, has never had fun playing baseball. There was some drama on his middle school team with their coach kind of betraying them, and I don't know, he kind of gives Suki vibes now that I think about it. Oh my gosh, he does. He does. Maybe that's why I like him. Oh my gosh. Revelations coming to me right now, but yeah, so he's that sort of character. Like, he's been burned before. He doesn't get, you know, what the hype is. He gets mad about Samura's, you know, passion, I guess. That's kind of their main issue. You know, he's trying to encourage Asada in his own way, like when he's eating the rice, and Okamura's like, not everyone thinks like you, not everyone is trying to, like, be the best, whatever. Like, let me do my own thing, and yeah, I just want to see him have his breakthrough moment like Suki in Haikyuu. That would have been awesome. So yeah, I really like him as a character. I like the other first years. Asada is so cute. I feel so bad for him getting stuck with Samura and Kuromochi in the dorm. The pranks they pull on him when, you know, he first gets there. But then their relationship is so cute when Samura goes to, like, encourage them on their first year game. And then we have, you know, Tetsuya's brother, who, you know, never really has a true shining moment. Like, I feel kind of bad for that boy. You know, he swings his hardest. They try to give him some chances, but it's not really his time yet. And Yui had some good hits in, but also it's, like, not really his time. So it's kind of interesting that this crop of first years, like, they're really good, but they don't get as much playtime as, you know, Haruichi, Furia, Samura did in their first year. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this one at that. Super simple. The stickers I'm using are from Atelier by Joe, and then Daiso for the other spread. If you're curious, I love their stickers. And then lastly, to wrap it up, I'm just gonna do kind of a comprehensive spread, mainly about, you know, Samura finally getting the ace position. You know, major spoilers for the end of the manga. I love a lot of these, like, chapter title pages. Like, I don't know, the chapter names being across the bottom, like, it looks so cool to me. His catchphrase. Yeah, so as you can see, Samura finally gets the ace number, like, I think halfway through Act 2. And it is such a joyous occasion, you know. It's been his struggle throughout the whole manga. At times, it felt like the author was just out to get him. But even when he does get the ace number, he doesn't, you know, succeed right away. He has some missteps. But eventually he gets on his feet. And like I mentioned before, the kind of second to last game of the manga has his best moments. The preseason is, like, his best moments. Before he gets the ace number to prove himself, he does super well at, you know, all their preseason games. And Furia is injured for some of it, so like I was saying with the whole what May was speculating really happened, I'm just not gonna think about that. I am gonna, you know, be happy for my boy. He deserved it, proved everyone wrong. Every time he stepped out as, like, the ace and people were like, who's that? Like, learn his name, y'all. And I think he was finally able to get his name out there at the end. But it just sucks because, like, they made it to Koshin, and the manga ends before we can really see him get out there and show his stuff on the national stage, because at the spring tournament, you know, he didn't get much opportunity, and the times he did, like, he didn't really stand out that much. So, you know, I wish we could have seen the aftermath. The ideal ace, like, so cute. I don't know, I really love Sawamura. Like, even if he wasn't like a better pitcher than Furia, it's about his vibe, it's about his energy, it's about the trust that they place in him. And Furia just, you know, he's an amazing pitcher, but he wasn't up to the level, I don't think, of kind of the charisma, I guess, the riz. Sawamura has that riz where, like, you can't help but love him, even in his mistakes. Like, you know, they're backing him up, they're like, send hits our way, like, don't even worry about it. I don't know, it takes a certain, like, personality type slash skill set to be able to have people react to you in that way. And he's the it boy. And his, you know, rivalry with Furia is so good. They motivate, at the end, like, they motivate each other. They're each other's biggest, like, cheerleaders. Furia, like, randomly calling Sawamura by his first name, too. Like, Furia is so cute. And, you know, his main motivation is, you know, finding a place he can belong and teammates he can trust. And I think he achieved his goal in the end. Even though, you know, he still wants to be the ace, he's still fighting. He's still in there to swoop in the spot if he can get the chance, but I don't know. And then the whole conversation that Sawamura overhears with Miyuki and him, asking him, like, you know, have you ever thought about going pro? Like, what's next for you? And Furia's kind of like, no, I haven't thought about much further, but... And then, you know, with Kawakami having his elbow injury and them having to, you know, step it up in the last tournament, the drama does not quit until the very end. Such high stakes, such high tension. I love it so much, and I'm so glad that I finally read Daiya. I am forever hoping for an English release, physical release. That'd be very magical in my opinion. I'm already, like, buying a bunch of fan art all of a sudden. I want to buy more volumes of the manga. I'm super excited for the anime to come out. Daiya is just the only thing on my brain right now. And honestly, I finished the manga yesterday, and I've just been in a state of, like, I don't know what can top this. Like, I don't know what to read next. It was the same feeling I had after finishing my reread of Haikyuu. It's like, when you read something so good, at that point, it's like, what's the point? Like, maybe I should just keep rereading this forever. But I'm not gonna do that, of course. I'm gonna read more manga. I really want to reread Yaopeta now. Because sometimes with a series like this that I read as a teenager and I revisit them, they're not as good as I remembered. But, you know, rereading Act 1 of this and stuff like that, it has proven to me that, you know, my high school brain did have some points. She was pretty valid in her interests to some capacity. So I am excited to revisit some old faves, potentially in the near future. Okay, and here is the finished product. We have my rival spread, my Okamura spread, and my kind of general Act 2 wrap-up. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this kind of chatty review, me rambling, me being incoherent, I guess, but I love Daiya, TLDR, read Daiya. So happy I was able to have this experience, get through Act 2, get through Act 1, share my love of the series with my audience. Hopefully I can do more videos like this if y'all enjoyed it. Stay safe, happy, healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.